So when we talk about how amazing it is to have people who still support Donald Trump, one group in particular that still manages to surprise me, even though I admit that they should not, would be evangelical voters. They still surprise me because out of all of the people who should be able to see how disgusting of a human being Donald Trump is, evangelicals still support Donald Trump in an amazing fashion. And I tried to figure out and understand why, but it's a very simplistic lens. It really doesn't require, it's a simplistic phenomenon, rather, that doesn't really require much analysis. So long as you, number one, oppose abortion or ostensibly oppose abortion, because really, what's the over under on the number of abortions Donald Trump has paid for? But I digress. So long as you outwardly oppose abortion and so long as you outwardly oppose same-sex marriage, then you still get the support of the evangelical base. Case in point, there's an amazing article in the New Yorker that was a long format interview between Steve Bannon and the journalist. And Steve Bannon began to divulge to America, essentially, how Donald Trump thinks of and treats Mike Pence. And so in that article, they discuss how anytime someone comes out of Mike Pence's office, he jokes and mocks Mike Pence saying, "Did he make you pray?" And then the other thing that stood out was when the conversation went to overturning Roe versus Wade, they had a legal scholar there who said that even if Donald Trump was able to put another justice on the Supreme Court who would overturn Roe versus Wade, that the states on a state by state level, that they very likely will pass or make abortion legal in their individual states. And so Donald Trump used that as an opportunity to turn to Mike Pence and say, see, all this energy that you put into this, and you're going to fail anyway. Last but not least, when the conversation turned to the LGBTQ community, Donald Trump abruptly said, don't ask Mike Pence about that because he just wants to hang all the gays. Now, notwithstanding the vulgarity and the ridiculousness of the president of the United States joking about religious fundamentalism so extreme that they would kill people because of their sexuality, we'll set that aside for a moment. This just shows you the amount of disdain that Donald Trump genuinely has for religious people. Now, I'm not defending the religious people in this conversation because I think their ideology and their political positions and a lot of their religious rhetoric should be condemned. And I'm a Christian, so I just outright tell you, Mike Pence should be mocked and mocked on a regular basis. Everyone in attendance at the Values Voters Summit should be mocked and mocked on an ongoing basis because what they stand for and what they represent is an anathema to people who simply want to coexist and live their life the way they see fit without having to conform to someone else's religious expectations. But if you notice, I pointed out the Values Voter Summit attendees, but Donald Trump himself was just there last week speaking to the Values Voter Summit and pandering to that same exact group of people. So the question is, how can evangelicals still support him when they know in every way imaginable, Donald Trump is not anything remotely like what they want people to be, right? Everything they try to force other people to be, sexual purity and all these other types, Donald Trump is the exact opposite of it. Humility. Donald Trump is not humble. Patience. Donald Trump doesn't have any patience. Donald Trump does not demonstrate anything that would remotely make you think that he was a Christian at all whatsoever. But now they actually have evidence of Donald Trump mocking their very positions. But what is happening? They still support Donald Trump. That's because they don't really care. All they want is someone in the White House. Actually, strike that. Let me take it back. They don't care because they have long since abandoned their core issues, right? Even if we think that they are wrong on their core issues, which I do believe that they're wrong on their core issues, they have morphed away from anything concerning religion, anything concerning morality, and they have long since abandoned that. And many of these evangelical leaders, if you take Jerry Falwell Jr., for example, he said last week that Donald Trump is going to be the greatest president since Richard Nixon. That's probably the true statement. But what he actually said is that Donald Trump is going to be the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln. And this is a man who's the head of one of the largest Christian universities in the country, probably in the world. So this demonstrates to us how they have abandoned their own core principles, which we disagree with their core principles, but they've abandoned it in exchange for political power in the Republican Party. It is 100% about political power in the Republican Party. They don't care about their own pro-choice or pro-life positions. If they did, they would oppose Donald Trump. They don't really care about opposition to same-sex marriage, because if they did, they have to oppose Trump because he clearly is not on the same side as them. So all it has boiled down to at this point is maintaining political power in the Republican Party, no matter what, even if that means them betraying their values that I would agree and argue are not values to begin with. But this is the Republican Party. This is the evangelical right as it exists right now. And when we look at that group of core people, that 38%, as we showed you in polling, 38% of people who still support Donald Trump, a lot of them are evangelicals, because despite everything to the contrary, all the evidence that says otherwise, they still believe that Donald Trump is somehow sent by God to save America. Never mind the fact that Donald Trump is a clear and present threat to the United States of America because of all of his policies, because of his oafishness, because of his recklessness. Donald Trump is the complete antithesis of what a good, God-fearing American should be, according to evangelicals. So that just shows you the depth and the depravity and the lack of substance that exists in this particular group of people, and particularly in the. I want to make a distinction here. The leadership, people like Jerry Falwell Jr., Paula White, Robert Jeffress, Tony Perkins of the Family Research Council, all those people, they are completely bereft of any sense of dignity and any sense of morality that they try to force you to have. They don't really care about that. The leadership, all they know how to do and all they are concerned with is using their pulpits and their platforms to usher their congregations to vote for the Republican Party in exchange for political power. Hey guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me for this hour. David will be back broadcasting remotely. And if you are a member, get ready for the bonus show. We will see you on the bonus show. Take care.